all you sketchy people, welcome back to my channel. Jack here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some Portland graffiti. Whether you like it, you hate it, it's out there. So let's have a look in my second Portland graffiti video. And without further ado, let's get sketchy. And here we are at the I-205, I-84 interchange, checking out some graffiti, and I really appreciate y'all coming back to this channel, especially for this video. I know graffiti is a very polarizing topic, and I really urge you to leave a comment down below with what you think of graffiti. My previous graffiti video last summer had a lot of great interactions from you all, and I really appreciate that because dialogue is very important. It brings a community together. It helps us see other viewpoints, and I urge you to comment down below and let me know what you think. This right here is on 102nd and East Burnside. Very busy, very colorful, and a lot of familiar faces up there. Well, last summer they closed down I-84 and did a huge graffiti removal project. KGW did a story about this featuring Governor Kotek, and I found some really interesting moments in this interview. Let's check this out.
And bring you back to the question, how do you keep it from reappearing tonight? Maybe not all of it, but the tagging goes on.
Well, if it does reappear, if we start seeing things, I think what people need to know is we're not going to stop. This is just the beginning. And I think it's people saying to folks, if you know someone who's doing this, say like, hey, is that what you want your community to look like? How about here instead? How about there instead?
How about here instead? How about there instead? That's a very interesting statement from a governor on graffiti. Governor Kotek in this interview states the importance of graffiti removal for the overall city's image. But that statement, how about here instead, how about there instead, not stop graffiti, just change where it's done. I found that very fascinating. And here's some more from that interview.
You might remember during this year's legislative session, Oregon lawmakers approved $20 million for ODOT to clean up highways in the Portland area, including removing trash and homeless camps. $4 million was specifically earmarked to remove graffiti, and this weekend that work took a massive step forward with a 5-mile shutdown of I-84 from Saturday night to Sunday. About 13 hours overall so that crews could tackle that tagging and clean up the garbage without any vehicles around. For many,
this was a common thread in my previous video about the millions of dollars spent on graffiti removal that will inevitably return. Now, I understand it's maintenance and you have to keep at it to keep things as clean and as in working order as you can. But you can see here on this right-hand side, that's a brand new tag over that buffed out area. This other bridge support to the left of it is freshly buffed, and it's not a matter of if, but when that graffiti will return. And the maintenance crews have done a pretty good job of buffing out all this graffiti. You can see here on the left all of these big beige swatches of covered up tags and graffiti. And that was one of the things we talked about a little bit in the previous video of some people like the graffiti as opposed to these big boring beige swatches, and other people hate the graffiti and like it being covered up to restore order and cleanliness. So it's a very interesting viewpoint from both sides. I definitely see where both viewpoints are coming from. But I remember coming back from the airport one time, and this Banfield stretch a couple years ago was just covered with graffiti. And it's a very important viewpoint that a lot of people have because I-84 is one of the main thoroughfares from PDX. And getting from PDX to downtown, this is the first impression that a lot of people get of Portland. So I totally understand why it's necessary to keep it clean and keep it orderly. And up here on the right is the old Gordon's Fireplace building. It's now vacant, obviously, and covered with graffiti. It is somewhat of a sore spot for some Portlanders, definitely a graffiti hotspot, and I used it as my highlight spot for my previous video. I talk about the Gordon's building in detail, so check out my video if you want to learn more about that. And here we are cruising into downtown Portland, and we'll visit this KGW interview one more time, so let's take a look.
Meanwhile, the governor says she wants to see programs that can provide other avenues, that's an interesting way of putting it, for would-be taggers.
I also hope people will put that passion into something else somewhere else, because that's passion, right? Someone really cares about what they're doing. How about we find a different place to do that and not along a roadside?
And
That's my general reaction to that.
I've heard some argue that the point is putting it where it's not supposed to be. That's part of the art.
Well, I think it's that challenge of, that risk taking.
Fight against the man and everything else.
So maybe we just need to get people really high walls that they can go do that somewhere else.
A couple things to unpack there. First, Governor Kotek uses the word passion for some of the graffiti work, and I find that very interesting from a governor who is working to remove graffiti, but understands that it is someone's passion doing the graffiti work. And she didn't talk down, she didn't belittle the graffiti artists that do the work, she recognizes it as passion. And the second point I want to talk about is at the end of that clip, Governor Kotek talks about giving really high walls to do graffiti on. Now, I know it was somewhat of a joke, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's not without merit. In fact, it could be a decent idea. Give a spot for graffiti and taggers to work publicly and legally and make an artistic, spectacle out of it. But for now, we're just going to continue the drive. We're going to go around Portland. Going to go to one of my favorite spots for graffiti, and that's just outside of Portland, so stick around for that. We're also going to get a little dangerous and go inside of a train tunnel to take a look at some graffiti art there. So let's keep this drive going. The sunshine is out, and join me as we find some more graffiti. So I'm kind of curious what these caricatures are going to look like at the top. You see them all outlined in white. I'm sure those are going to come back and get filled in with color. And these railroad graffiti shots are done along Northwest St. Helens Road. And I drive this stretch of road multiple times a week and have seen the graffiti change over the years. And it's kind of interesting to watch it fade and get re-hit and come back brighter, you know, almost like a snake shedding its skin. And this wall here on the left with that really big MTK, these are some newer hits that I've seen. And then this hangar building right here, you can definitely see has got some weathered spray paint on it. And this building's changed over the years a lot. The door's been open for the past few months, and you can see some stuff in there, but I ain't going in there. No way. It's above my pay grade. And I parked the car next to the railroad and got this side of the building. You really can't see this from Highway 30. You just get a little peekaboo of it as you round the corner, and I've known it's here, and I was glad to kind of come out and check it out because the sheer size alone it's pretty impressive. And tunes.pdx on Instagram let me know about this wall. This is a commissioned piece on Southeast Hawthorne over by Goal Bar. And this is a graffiti wall that is legal and welcome. And there's some wheat paste up top. So thanks for letting me know about this. And made it in the video. And I did a little art drop for a lucky recipient out there. But I think it's time to put the cap on this edition of Portland Graffiti, because we're going to go outside of Portland now and go up to a tunnel. We're going to become mole people and check this out.
Any of you guys know when the next train is due?
I'd be lying if I didn't say I was worried about a train coming, and there was some heavy trucks overhead that were downshifting that my friend and I thought that, well, maybe a train is coming, but luckily no train coming through the tunnel. This train tunnel is part of the Portland and Western Railroad, and we were left unbothered as we made our way through this dark and dank tunnel. And let's check out this graffiti, shall we? Kenny's to the left. Oh, nice. Got Minnie and Hello Kitty. Got a Minion. Got Jack Skellington. And there was a lot of fan art graffiti in this tunnel. A lot of original marks too, but there was a lot of fan art through here, which was I kind of found a little fascinating. Life ends here. Well, not for everybody, but a message for us going through this tunnel. And luckily when we entered this tunnel, we could see the light at the end. I don't know if I'd be entering this tunnel if I couldn't see the light from the other side. The railroad ties were a little treacherous. The wood beams that were keeping the tunnel open, probably seen a little bit better days. So it's a little treacherous in here, and I don't know if I'd do this more than once, but it was an interesting exploration seeing all this graffiti in this train tunnel. And obviously there was more graffiti at the either ends of this tunnel as you're close to the opening. But it was cool. It was a really interesting experience to see all this firsthand. And luckily no trains came, no zombie hordes came out. You know, I am somewhat afraid of the dark, and I'm a little bit claustrophobic, but I did okay. So I was able to see like I said, the other end of the tunnel, and that made it all right. And it was fun to check this tunnel out. So a good exploration, and we'll take this train tunnel at fast speed right here. And here we are about an hour northwest of Portland in the small town of Vernonia, Oregon. And we are walking on a part of the Banks Vernonia Trail. That's Vernonia Lake to my left, and to the right here, this building is the old Oregon American Lumber Mill that opened in 1924, and it was one of Oregon's largest mills until about 1958, and now sits dormant but is a hotspot for graffiti. And there's been all sorts of different photo shoots done at this building over the years. Even the band Green Day shot parts of their music video Still Breathing here at this old lumber mill. The graffiti keeps people coming back, and it's a really kind of interesting note that, you know, if it was just one piece of graffiti over here or a little tag over there, it might not garner much traction or attention, but you get a building that's just covered with graffiti of all different styles. Why, you kind of got this amazing collection of art out here in Vernonia. So let's go inside and take a look around. So if you want to take a little hike, come on up to Vernonia, Oregon, and check this out. I love this building because it's forever changing. I'm sure if you go up to look at this graffiti, it will be different than what I've shown in this video. And drop a comment down below. Is this a work of art? Is this an eyesore? Should this just be demolished? Should it be celebrated? I love all of your different viewpoints and appreciate a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this video this far into it. This was a really fun one to do. I enjoy this region. I enjoy all of your comments and ideas and opinions. If I haven't drawn you yet, stay your true, lovely, sketchy selves, because you could be next. Signing out from Vernonia, Oregon.
Do you remember a thing since we moved from Graffiti Bridge?
No more of that, bud.